Okay, hi. Hello, everyone. I am Jessica, your orientation leader for today's session, Associated Students of the University of Hawaii at Manoa, or ASUH. Before we get started, I'll be covering some housekeeping items for today's webinar. So first, you should be able to hear me clearly. If you cannot, please note that in the chat box so that we may troubleshoot with you. Simple fixes include connecting your audio on the Zoom window, turning up your computer volume, or using external headphones. Second, please utilize the Q&A function if you have questions for the presenters or about what was shared. For most sessions, all questions will be saved for the end of the presentation. Additionally, participants in the chat are asked to be respectful of others and stay focused on the topic of this webinar so those with questions can easily be seen. And finally, after the session, we will be uploading all the recordings of this webinar to the Visit Days platform in the videos section. All recordings will have closed captioning. Now, I would like to welcome and introduce today's presenters from ASUH. With that, I'll turn the presentation over to Jongha Kim, Alyssa Renteria, Malama Hokama Paris, and Sarah Lynn Kaeo.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. All right, it's great to meet you, everyone. My name is Jongha Kim. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm the president of the Associated Students of the University of Hawai'i at Mānoa. Alyssa?
Hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa Renteria. I'm the vice president of ASUH, and I use she, her pronouns.
Hello, nui kako. My name is Malama Hokama Paris, and I use he, him pronouns. I am also the chairperson for external affairs. Oya ihola, aloha.
Hello, hi everyone. My name is Sarah Lynn Kael. My pronouns are her, hers, and I am the vice chair of the External Affairs Committee. Aloha.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Now to the next slide. So ASUH was started by the Board of Regents in 1912, and we represent around 10,000 full-time classified undergraduates every year. Although the number does fluctuate. And so what ASUH does, I would generally say that we practice student advocacy, whatever that means for that year. And so we have this. We have a president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and 4 senators at large making up our executive committee, meaning that the senators at large represent the entire the university as a whole, and so do the president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary.
Okie dokie. So as you folks can see right here, there's a bunch of, there's a big list going on. And if you look towards your left, there's a bunch of different inoa or names. Each of those represents a senator or a senatorial position, a part of ASUH. For example, at the top, we have senator for the College of Education. Right now, Senator Rabang is serving. Any place that you see vacant is an open position, and we'll talk about that a little later. So currently we have 19 positions open, and a few range from College of Engineering, Health Sciences, Pacific and Asian Studies, and different things like travel industry, health sciences, and social welfare, kalamai. So these are based on your individual college and your individual majors. So you can, mahalo nui. So as you can see here, there's a kind of a lot of College of Arts and Sciences positions open right now. So you guys can, if you folks choose and would like to, after this presentation, feel free to reach out to all of us and see what positions are open for this upcoming election. Oya ihola.
Awesome, thank you so much. All right, so the ASUH committees are made up of 8 standing committees: campus life elections, external affairs, finance, internal affairs, ILRP, student affairs, and undergraduate academic affairs. And so these are the committees that we have every year. And what they do is they review legislation that we pass through our executive body, which then goes through these committees, and then they go to the general body. They can include bills and things that where we use student government money to fund events or projects or pretty much anything that we can justify supports the student body in some way. And so with the committees, we have student affairs, and our job is to look into all issues that aren't academically related. And so in the past, we have addressed things like food scarcity, LGBTQ rights, Native Hawaiian issues that the students have taken up a problem with. And so we'll review resolutions that people pass, and resolutions are just documents that we create saying that this is student government stance on this issue. And my favorite one so far has been, can't really think of one off the top of my head, but I think the most memorable one from last year was the one that we wrote in support of Black Lives Matter. And there's some other ones we wrote in support of certain legislation at the state capitol that we used to basically push for certain legislation that we think would benefit the students, such as one's funding positions for the Counseling and Student Development Center. And for external affairs, I'll leave that up to Chairperson Common Paris.
Mahalo nui, President Kim. So the External Affairs Committee researches and prepares testimony concerning issues representing the ASUH Senate. So anything concerning the 109th Senate currently. We also represent the official position of ASUH at official functions in the absence of course, President Kim or the standing president. Other things we do is we also create and maintain an accurate image of ASUH and maintain open communications with social media, media outlets, and various things like that. So mahalo nui, yeah.
Great, moving on to the next slide, funding for students.
Hi, everyone. I'm also the chairperson of the Undergraduate Academic Affairs. And what we do is mainly consists of any issues that deal between students and faculty / academic policy. And included in that is our scholarships and also the grad fair. So scholarships is one of the huge things that we always stress to students. And I would like to really tell you that you should look into them, apply every year. You have a very great chance. If you have any questions, email us. Then also we have the grad fair, which has now expanded and will be in a hybrid format. And so we're really excited for that. If you're interested in, seeing what's in your future, possibly with just organizations or, academically, that's a great place to learn. And yeah, I'll leave it next to Sarah.
So last but not least of all the committees we have here to talk about, we have the Finance Committee. So what the Finance Committee does is they deal with receiving, investigating, and making recommendations on measures like pertaining to the appropriation of ASUH funds and the financial affairs of ASUH. And this committee is also responsible for organizing and making like recommendation for any of our RIO funding. And this is also important because it also works with the Student Life and Development Office, and any Senate Act funding. This includes legislative appropriation for events, programs, and by events, it could be the campus events that you've seen in the past on Instagram and whatnot. And just to give you an idea of the funds we have, every year there's about like 313,000 plus, or over 313,000 plus of ASUH monies that goes to the students. And later on, we will talk about the different kind of funding that the type of funding that ASUH advocates for. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much, Salka Ayo. And so, and the attendees just asked the question, if we get funding, do we have to pay it back? And the answer is no. So ASUH, we do ask for student fees from full-time undergraduate students every semester at $5. But other than that, we do also have a stock portfolio where we take money from every year for our budget. And that money that we take out is what we use to pretty much fund the things that people ask for or projects that we're pursuing. And so, no, it's not a loan, it's us giving it back to the community.
And I would like to say too, our scholarships, you apply, say, during fall 2021, and it will be applied as a reimbursement towards your fall 2021 tuition. And so that's what allows you to apply for both fall and spring.
Yeah. Cool. Moving on to the next page. And so there are a lot of committees here. And so I'll have chairperson of campus life. Oh, wait, sorry. I'll have Malama answer what campus life does.
Okie dokie, mahalo. So the Campus Life Committee works to coordinate and extend ASUH programs to ASUH constituents, so to you guys, all of our undergraduate students. We also try to help foster a unified university community and building and creating these bridges between communities and fostering those as well. We also work to provide programs, events, and services to create a welcoming campus atmosphere throughout, online and offline. So now we're trying to navigate our way through the online. But yeah, that's a little bit of what Campus Life does. We also, Campus Life does, yeah, we also do things like Hawaiian language panels and various events that are held online. Yep, oya ihola, mahalo.
All right, moving on to elections. Okay, so elections does pretty much what the committee's name is. And so every year we do need to run in elections for to get more senators to come in, basically. And so the one rule for this committee, though, is that if you are running elections, you're not allowed to run for that one in particular to avoid any conflicts of interest. All right, external affairs, chairperson of common affairs. We already talked about that one, but if there's any questions, we can definitely answer them. Okay, internal affairs.
So internal affairs basically deals with internal issues within ASUH. So if there's any conflict within ASUH, but there's also, it has the connections to any of the campus delegates, which a campus delegate is a student who basically is on a committee that is full of faculty or administration, and they give students input on certain various things. It can be whether there's a committee on judicial affairs, so you can, although it's very private, you have to, you can be on the committee where you see between issues between a teacher and possibly a professor and judge on that. There's also the ones on academic policy. So if you're interested in changing things that way and can't fully commit to ASUH, I totally recommend becoming a campus delegate instead. So contact our internal affairs for that.
Awesome, thank you so much. We did just receive a question from an attendee. If I'm a freshman now, do I have to wait and try to run for a position? And the answer is no, you don't have to wait. Because we host a special elections during the fall where we try to fill in the positions that are vacant. And so I believe the packets will be released in August, like late August, right? Something like that.
I want to say the first week of school.
Okay, cool. So in the first week of school, we'll be releasing our elections packet, and all you have to do is fill that out and you can run for a position. And so there is a lot to learn from my experience when you start out. But once you get the hang of it, you start doing a lot of amazing things and projects for the campus and the students attending the university. But yeah, moving on to investments and long-range planning. And so ILRP is the committee that manages or talks with the people who work on our investment portfolio. And so if there's like resolutions on divesting from certain certain places that we've invested into because of ethical concerns, ILRP and SA would probably, student affairs would probably be the ones to review that legislation before deciding, okay, we should take our money away from this place because it's unethical and that's not what we stand for. And so with ILRP, you get this really unique experience of working with, and I think now it's like $11 million stock portfolio. And not a lot of students get to say they did that kind of work in undergrad, right? And so ASUH is a bunch of experiences that I think is really unique to hear and would look great on your resume as well. Okay, and that's all the committees that we reviewed. Moving on to the next slide. Vice President Renteria.
So we already talked about this just a little bit. Ways to get involved. The number one way to get involved is to run for Senate. And so I believe it's the first week of August, or not August, of school. The elections should be sent out. If you guys follow our social medias, you'll definitely get a notification there. But there should also be an email sent to your school account. It might even include elections packets. I'm not too sure about that, but you can always check out our website for that kind of information. And then the second best way to be a part of ASUH and kind of get involved with the school is to join one of our campus-wide committee delegates. If you're interested in that, please email our internal affairs and they'll be happy to pair you with a committee, especially one that's suited towards your academic endeavors. And then if not, if you'd like to be a part of ASUH Student Court Justice, that hasn't happened in a very long time, but it is one option, or you can just volunteer at one of our events. We usually have plenty of events. We're hoping that maybe not so much in the fall, but possibly in the spring, there's a lot more in-person events. Usually volunteering happens with, say, the financial committee or finance committee or the undergraduate academic affairs committee. And then last but not least, just attend our meetings. We've been hosting them on Zoom every other Wednesday. You can just check in, see what's going on, or you can even submit testimony on issues that you feel are very important to you. So, yep. And next. And these are the positions that we have open for this upcoming elections. So as Malama said, there is a ton of positions open. If you see your school on there, the number next to it is how many positions that are open and available. All right. There's a question. I've seen other schools pay students for them being in student government. Does UH do this too? So there's no other fee to join, but you have to pay at least the $5 ASUH fee, which is kind of already in your tuition. So that's a little caveat there.
Oh, I believe they were talking about like stipends. And so we do provide sort of a stipend. They're called awards for service. And so they won't affect your financial aid or your scholarships eligibility. And so depending on your position, you'll get paid a certain amount. And so if you take on more leadership positions, such as a chairship for a committee or a vice chairship for a committee, you'll be awarded more than you would if you were a senator if you were to remain a senator for a certain college.
Thanks for clearing that up. And then, yep, this is how to join. So for eligibility, you must be a full-time classified undergraduate at Mānoa Campus, because there are other ASUH committees with the community colleges and the other universities part of our system. And then applications are due September 15th at 4 p.m. You do not have to get a part of our packet. Normally, folks have to go and get students to sign up, in support of them. But we are waiving that for this semester, I believe, where you can just submit your packet without the signatures, and you'll be floor nominated. Yep. Any more questions? Please contact our elections committee.
Okay, great. And so with ASUH, we've done projects such as these in the past 3 years or past century, I guess. And so I was involved with the Food Vault project, which is a food pantry available for all students at the University of Hawaiʻi at Mānoa. And this kind of started with a professor who reached out to us and told us that based on the research that she's done, UH Manoa was experiencing food scarcity at a, like any food scarcity is unacceptable, but it was extremely urgent that we addressed it, right? And so we are pursuing methods of addressing the food scarcity issue long-term, but our solution to it to keep students going while we try to approach this issue was to open a food pantry, right? And what we did was we worked with the campus center board, found a room that they could let us use, and using some ASUH money and other sources of money from the university, we opened the food vault. And since then, I believe because of COVID, the number of people who come to the food pantry has lowered significantly, but it's an issue, or it's a pilot program that has started then and is still continuing to this day.
And ASUH is we're currently a part of the 109th Senate, which means ASUH has been around for 109 years, which is kind of crazy. So one of our earlier things, half century ago, was the Civil Rights Week. And one of our senators invited Martin Luther King Jr. to Hawaii for a week, where students just basically talked about civil rights issues and what was going on in the South. And one of the initiatives back then was to decide whether or not ASUH would send 2 senators to go help with voter registration in the South, to specifically target Black voters and get them, to sign up to vote. In the end, that wasn't passed, but it just brought about this issue that we could always improve and that we should improve and get better. And it's kind of crazy because this senator went on to become part of the Hawaii Supreme Court, and now he's part of the Board of Regents. So it comes around full circle in a sense.
Mahalo nui. But our history doesn't always stop there. Our history continues, right? So as we can take a look down here to our Olelo Hawaiʻi initiative. So the Olelo Hawaiʻi initiative, or the idea and the purpose of this initiative, was to provide an opportunity and a space for UH Mānoa students, faculty, staff, and community members, a safe space to speak and learn Hawaiian language at a centralized location on the Mānoa campus. So I'm not too sure where everybody here is from, but I was born and raised here on the islands, born in Honouliuli, Oahu. So Olelo Hawaiʻi, ka leo o Umukupuna, is always special to me and will always be that way. So in 2019, this initiative was passed to, I guess, hold space and teach Olelo Hawaiʻi at this basic level, provided with the funding from ASUH at Mānoa. So with this, we can continue on the legacy of the Civil Rights Week and of that senator, and continue to push the boundaries of what our university and what goes on in our administration as a whole. So we say and we claim this as an aloha aina, or Hawaiian place of learning. Let's try and make it that way. So here was ASUH's stance on trying to incorporate Olelo Hawaiʻi in the community's everyday life. Oi, mahalo.
And reach out to our community members in the Mānoa area does not stop there as well. With the Rainbow Shuttle program, which was established in 1991, it provides or benefits not only students, faculty, staff members who attend or who work at UH Mānoa, but it also helps community members just bus from their neighborhoods, whether it's in Mo'ili'ili Mānoa Valley or Waialae Avenue, they bus them from these certain points around the campus, but also onto the campus, just to make it, easier, or to help them easily access or easily walk to UH campus as well. So, and this is something that another thing that ASUH definitely advocated for and continues to advocate to maintain this shuttle program here at Mānoa Campus.
Awesome. And we got a question. Are there any initiatives you all are working on right now? And so as of last year, we've been working on a few, including the push for Dean Hall to be changed to Alice Ball Hall. And we're pretty much just finishing that up this year. And so what happened was that Arthur Lyman Dean was one of the past presidents of the University of Hawaiʻi, and Alice Ball was the first, I believe the first Black graduate and women graduate from graduate student at the University of Hawaiʻi at Manoa. And she was working with one of the professors here to develop a treatment for Hansen's disease, also known as leprosy. And what had happened was that due to I believe it was an incident in the lab with like a gas leak or some chemical hazard, she passed away and her work was uncompleted. And so Arthur Lyman Dean completed the work, and he pretty much got all the fame and renown for it. But Alice Ball's name was left out for most of history until some archivists discovered her, pretty much like her professor's notes on the work that she did, and figured out that, oh, okay, so he didn't do all of it. This is technically plagiarism. And so we're pushing to have the name of the building changed from Dean Hall to Alice Ball Hall or something to that effect, as we do believe that she is a crucial part of, or a very important part of UH's history and deserves that recognition. Okay. Are there any other initiatives that you all would like to bring up?
For me personally, I'm trying to bring more initiatives regarding sustainability on campus. So hopefully we can get more water bottle filling stations within the dorms on campus, potentially ban certain plastics on campus as well from being sold. And then also trying to bring in more money for students that'll go back to you guys in the form of scholarships. So that's currently.
Yeah. Senator from Paris, Salkaio, anything comes to mind?
For myself and the senators that I'm currently talking to, our main focus this year is to pass an initiative that takes precedence around mental health and its priority on our campus. So just working with our folks at the Mental Health Student Services and also within ASUH Mānoa, just because, you know, a wide range of students today go through mental health related issues that our professors, our parents just kind of turned in ignorant in a good way, I too. So that's kind of why we want to take a step back and work on mental health this year.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Salkaio, anything, or we can pass? Okay, cool. How has ASUH affected us personally? Okay. For me, I went to high school. I went to an all-boys Catholic school on island here for a very long time. And I'm like, so I'm queer identifying, gay, use they, them pronouns. And because of that, I pretty much spent most of my time in school trying to get access to the same things that everybody else did, because they were allowing that, or like they were allowing bullying, discrimination, etc. And so because of that, I became very distrustful of authority, wasn't very cooperative when I first started out at UH. And so getting that experience in ASUH, I learned to work within the system more, instead of just resorting to or pushing for like, hey, let's do a sit-in immediately, you know? And so because of ASUH, I got experience pushing for legislation. Like it even led to me working with Lambda Law to push for legislation that introduced the X-gender marker on driver's licenses in Hawaii. And because of ASUH, honestly, it kind of, like, I didn't even know I wanted to work in policy or pursue activism at all. It just kind of came as like a second nature thing to me. But working with ASUH, having my mentors teach me, mentors being the older senators who just kind of took me under their wings, I became more effective at pursuing change. And not only that, but I became more cooperative through trial and error. And I'm hoping that if you all join, that you also have the opportunity to grow as not only as a leader, but as a person. All right, next, Vice President Renteria.
Yeah, ASUH, I remember my freshman year. I didn't join, but I remember seeing the little acronym pop up here and there. I'm first generation college student, and so I dealt with a lot of financial issues my freshman year. And so I saw ASUH in the food pantry, and then I also saw them in scholarships. I was like, I'm so curious, what's going on? Like, who are these people? So I remember joining my sophomore year, and after that, I just wanted to keep helping students that were in similar situation, because that's something near and dear to my heart. And then also just include environmental issues, because environmental policy is such a new thing that definitely there's a lot of ground to cover. Maybe Sarah.
No, come up, Paris. Oh, okay. Yeah, Sarah.
Sorry, I thought we were going in order, but I'll go next. Hi, everyone. So ASUH affected me personally by, at first, I actually joined, I think, during my junior year or my senior year of attending here at Mānoa. And I wanted to be a campus delegate at first, but then when COVID hit and I was just unsure that path. And then I saw the, I'm actually ended up meeting more ASUH senators. And I thought, okay, why not join like the front lines of the student body here at Mānoa? So I joined, and I ended up learning and also meeting more people from different backgrounds, because I know sometimes when in college you tend to stick to certain groups, especially if they're in your college or your major or your classes. And for here in ASUH, you meet these other individuals from other colleges and majors, and you learn that they're very like-minded, and you all have a similar goal that you would like to achieve, which is to be leaders of a big student body, but also to develop those skills and other knowledge that you would want to use in your any type of future career. And yeah, that's what I most likely enjoy about being ASUH, and also different committees that in which they focus on. They actually do a lot for the student body. So yeah. Thank you.
Okie dokie, I guess. Ovo kahope. So I don't know if you guys already have been hearing it, but how do I want to say this? I speak Hawaiian. No, nothing like that. But how has ASUH affected me personally? It has given me a place to share my voice as a native Hawaiian, share my voice as somebody who grew up in a Hawaiian immersion school where I graduated with 16 people, 16 of us in my graduating class. We had a total of less than 500 students from K to 12. So it wasn't really in my best interest to step out of line in such a small school, in such a small environment, especially because all throughout our lives as Native Hawaiians, as Kanaka here, we're always taught, oh, hamo, keep that to yourself. It's not meant to be, until we get to high school and then you see all of these Native Hawaiian activists that come in your history and then you want to go. So personally, I took a different approach. It was, I wanted to join my freshman year after learning about ASUH, but there was already a senator for my college. I was like, oh, alihiki, I cannot. So I waited that whole year. And when it came up to my sophomore year, just like Alyssa, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. But then I kind of pulled out last minute. I was like, okay, yeah, ole. And then fortunately for me, I had Sarah Lynn Kael and a bunch of other Kanaka or Native Hawaiian senators at the time who wanted to push, and these Pacific Islander and Asian Pacific people wanted to push and have this sort of diversity in ASUH. And that's kind of what pushed me. And I never looked back. Just like Alyssa, I never thought otherwise. Now going on to my last year here at UH Mānoa, and I am blown away by all of the things that we have accomplished as a body and as individuals. You know, we can say, oh yeah, I'm a senator of ASUH, but what have you done as individuals? And I can say for certain, I have seen these three right here, these three people move strides and move mountains for our undergraduate population. And that's just how it affected me personally, seeing these three strong Kanaka, these three strong people push the boundaries and the limitations that our university put upon us, and all of the systematic oppression that's placed upon us, and seeing us just break through it is how ASUH has personally affected me. Sorry for that whole long spiel, but oia ihola, mahalo nui.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay, moving on. Question, comments, and concerns. If anyone in the chat, if any of the attendees have any questions to ask, feel free to send it in the chat. Really, there are no dumb questions. Like, I came in knowing absolutely nothing. And it was just like bumbling through it that I got to learn how things work. Then I do wish that I did ask more questions when I joined.
I do want to add and just sign off on again what President Kim had mentioned. Never be afraid to ask us questions, because we're here to help you folks. You know, we're not here just because we want to, you know, we're here. I mean, wait, that came out wrong. We are here just because we want to, not because we have to, yeah? So we're here to help you folks. I'm so sorry that came out so wrong. Kalamai, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry, sorry.
No, it's okay. But yeah, if there's no questions, comments, or concerns, we can always go back to a slide and talk about our personal experiences with committees, and our favorite things about them. Yeah, okay. But first and foremost, it's okay. They know that I volunteered you to be here. Joke aside, please follow us on social media. We have an Instagram, we have a website, and we have a Facebook. I still use Facebook. I'm gotta stay connected with like my grandma, you know. But yeah, definitely follow us on our Instagram. I believe we post most of our updates there. And our website is updated regularly as well. So if you have any information, or if you want any information, or are looking for the elections packet in particular, you'll find the link in your emails. If you're eligible, on Instagram and on our website. Okay. Is there anything in particular any of you wanted to talk about, or okay, let's close out.
Okay, yeah, if there are no more questions, I'll be closing. Okay, so thank you for joining us today for this presentation. We hope that you gained some helpful information from ASUH. And if you have any further questions or questions that were not discussed, please email your OL or nrwo@hawaii.edu for assistance. So I'll put the email in the chat too. But yeah, so this is recorded, so you can always watch it again. Okay, mahalo.